Some actresses became just as famous for their romantic lives as they were for their performances. Their relationships fascinated the public, fueled gossip columns, and helped create some of the biggest scandals of the 20th century. But the truth was often far more complicated than the rumors. Tonight, we're looking back at several legendary women whose love lives became Hollywood legends of their own. Some were misunderstood. Some embraced their reputations. And some paid a heavy price for the spotlight. The stories behind these women reveal a side of old Hollywood that many people never truly understood. And what happened behind the cameras might surprise you. Clara Bow. Before Marilyn Monroe became Hollywood's most talked about blonde, there was Clara Bow. Known as the It Girl of the 1920s, Clara was one of the biggest stars in America and one of the first celebrities whose private life became a national obsession. From the outside, she seemed to have everything. She was beautiful, wildly successful, and adored by millions of fans. Yet behind her dazzling smile was a woman constantly battling intense public scrutiny. Gossip columnists followed her every move, and rumors about her relationships spread across the country with incredible speed. Many stories published about Clara during her lifetime painted her as reckless and scandalous. Decades later, historians would discover that many of those stories were exaggerated or completely fabricated by people seeking headlines. Fans had no idea what was really happening. The pressure became overwhelming. As Hollywood transitioned from silent films to talking pictures, Clara struggled with anxiety and the relentless attention surrounding her personal life. Her reputation often overshadowed her talent, despite her enormous contribution to the film industry. What makes Clara's story so tragic is that she spent much of her life trying to escape the image others created for her. The public thought they knew her. In reality, very few people did. And this was only the beginning. Tallulah Bankhead. Few women in Hollywood history embraced controversy quite like Tallulah Bankhead. Bold, fearless, and impossible to ignore, she built a reputation that shocked audiences and fascinated reporters for decades. Tallulah wasn't interested in following society's rules. While many stars carefully protected their public image, she often seemed determined to challenge expectations. Her sharp wit, outspoken personality, and glamorous lifestyle made her one of the most talked about women of her era. Stories about her social life became legendary. She moved through elite circles filled with actors, writers, politicians, and wealthy socialites. Wherever Tallulah appeared, attention followed. Rumors followed too. But behind the cameras, the truth was darker. Despite her confidence, Tallulah struggled with personal demons, including substance abuse and loneliness. The very lifestyle that made her famous sometimes left her feeling isolated. Friends often described her as generous and deeply entertaining, yet there was another side to her that few people saw. Fame could not protect her from heartbreak, disappointment, or the emotional cost of living under constant public scrutiny. As the years passed, her larger-than-life reputation became almost as famous as her work itself. Yet many historians believe that the real Tallulah was far more complex than the scandalous image preserved in old headlines. And her story would not be the last time Hollywood confused a public persona with reality. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner possessed a kind of beauty that seemed almost unreal. She was one of the most stunning women ever to appear on screen, and her romantic life became one of the most closely followed stories in Hollywood history. From the moment she arrived in Hollywood, Ava attracted enormous attention. Powerful men wanted to meet her. Reporters wanted to interview her. Studios wanted to market her as the ultimate screen goddess. Her relationships often made front-page news. Most famously, her passionate and turbulent marriage to singer and actor Frank Sinatra captivated the public. Their romance was filled with intense love, dramatic arguments, and endless media attention. What happened next shocked Hollywood. Although audiences envied her glamorous life, Ava often admitted that fame brought unexpected burdens. The public constantly judged her personal decisions while ignoring her accomplishments as an actress. Every friendship, every relationship, and every public appearance became material for gossip columns. Fans had no idea what was really happening behind the scenes. Ava frequently struggled with loneliness despite being surrounded by admirers. She carried emotional scars from failed relationships and the pressures of living under a microscope. As she grew older, she became increasingly candid about the realities of fame. The glamorous image sold to audiences was only part of the story. Beneath it was a woman searching for happiness in a world that rarely allowed her privacy. And perhaps no actress understood that burden more than the next woman on our list. Lana Turner. Lana Turner was one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars, but her personal life often generated as much attention as her film career. Her story remains one of the most dramatic and heartbreaking in Golden Age Hollywood. Discovered as a teenager, Lana quickly rose to fame and became one of MGM's brightest stars. Her beauty and elegance made her a favorite among moviegoers, but her private life soon became a favorite subject for gossip reporters as well. Throughout her career, Lana experienced multiple marriages and several highly publicized romances. The media followed every development, turning her personal struggles into national entertainment. Newspapers constantly speculated about her relationships, creating a level of scrutiny that few people could endure. But behind the glamour was a woman facing extraordinary challenges. One of the most shocking moments in her life involved a tragic incident that generated headlines around the world. The event transformed her public image overnight and cast a shadow over much of her later career. Despite the controversies, Lana continued working and remained a beloved Hollywood figure. Her resilience impressed many who knew the full story. She refused to let scandal define her entirely, even when the public seemed determined to do exactly that. Looking back today, Lana's life reveals how easily fame could become a trap. The world admired her beauty, but few understood the emotional cost of living under constant judgment. And that lesson echoes throughout the history of old Hollywood. As we look back on these legendary actresses, it's important to remember that the headlines rarely told the whole story. Behind every scandal was a real person. Behind every rumor was a woman trying to navigate fame, love, ambition, and heartbreak in one of the most unforgiving industries in the world. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was one of the most glamorous women ever to grace the silver screen, but behind her iconic image was a deeply complicated personal life. To audiences, she was the ultimate screen siren. To the press, she was a woman whose romances seemed to unfold like a Hollywood script. Born Margarita Cancino, Rita was transformed by the studio system into a star whose beauty captivated the world. But fame came with a price. Her relationships were constantly watched, analyzed, and turned into public spectacle. Her marriage to Orson Welles drew enormous attention, and later her romance with Prince Ali Khan made international headlines. The idea of a Hollywood actress marrying into royalty fascinated the public, and every detail of her personal life became front-page news. What the audience often missed was the emotional strain behind the glamour. Rita struggled with the pressures of stardom, the demands of the studio system, and the loneliness that can come with being admired by millions but truly known by few. As her life became more difficult, the contrast between her public image and private reality grew sharper. The woman the world saw on screen was radiant and composed. The woman behind the scenes was often searching for stability in a life that rarely offered it. Rita's story is a reminder that beauty and fame do not protect anyone from heartbreak. In many ways, they can make it even harder to escape. And no one understood that better than the next legendary star. Elizabeth Taylor became one of the most famous women in the world, not only for her extraordinary talent and beauty, but also for a romantic life that seemed to fascinate the public at every turn. She grew up in front of the cameras and became a star at a young age. As she matured, her personal life became one of the most discussed subjects in Hollywood. Her marriages, divorces, and high-profile relationships were followed with relentless attention. Perhaps no romance drew more headlines than her relationship with Richard Burton. Their passionate, volatile love affair became one of the most famous in entertainment history. The public watched every development, from their marriage to their arguments to their eventual reunions. But Elizabeth's life was about far more than scandal. She was also a serious actress, a businesswoman, and a humanitarian whose influence extended well beyond the gossip pages. Still, the media often focused more on her love life than on her accomplishments. That imbalance frustrated many who admired her. Elizabeth lived under a level of scrutiny that few people could imagine. Every relationship became a story. Every public appearance became a judgment. Every personal choice became a headline. And yet she remained unapologetically herself. She embraced her passions, her flaws, and her independence in a way that made her unforgettable. Elizabeth Taylor's story shows how old Hollywood could turn a woman into both a legend and a spectacle at the same time. She was adored, criticized, and endlessly discussed. But she was never easily defined. As we look back on these legendary actresses, it's important to remember that the headlines rarely told the whole story. Behind every scandal was a real person. Behind every rumor was a woman trying to navigate fame, love, ambition, and heartbreak in one of the most unforgiving industries in the world.